Nobody laughed, so I knew it was not one of Daniel's awkward jokes. His sister smiled at me politely, the way people smile at someone holding a tray.
Oh, thank goodness he found somebody. He would have served us frozen dinners without help.
There were 7 place settings on the table and 8 people in the house. The missing place was mine. Though every plate had come from the cabinet I had lined with fresh paper that morning,
Just set it down, Mara. We can handle it from here.
I set the turkey beside Daniel and felt the heat through the oven mitts. He did not look at me again, but his fingers tapped twice against the tablecloth. That little tap meant I had stayed too long. After 12 years of marriage, my husband and I had developed signals for things he did not want his family to hear.
Dad, this looks amazing. Since when do you know how to roast a turkey?
You pick up a few things when you live alone long enough.
I went back to the kitchen before anyone could see my face. The gravy was trembling in the saucepan, though the burner had already been turned off. By then, I had been awake for 11 hours. I had peeled potatoes before sunrise because Daniel liked them smooth, without the little brown flecks he called mistakes. I had baked the rolls, ironed the tablecloth, cleaned the bathroom twice, and hidden every sign that a woman lived in the house. My reading glasses went into the sewing box. My winter shoes went under the basement stairs. Even my blue mug was wrapped in a grocery bag and placed behind the flour. The mug had my name on it. Daniel had given it to me on our 3rd anniversary, back when he still said my name like it belonged in the middle of the room. I met Daniel when I was 48. I had been in the country 6 years, long enough to understand most jokes and still not understand why people apologized when they bumped into furniture. He came into the community library every Tuesday to use the newspaper because he refused to read news on a screen. I worked at the circulation desk and saved the business section for him.
You are the only person in this building who understands a man needs paper in his hands.
He had kind eyes then, or maybe they were simply eyes that rested on me long enough to make me feel visible. We married at the courthouse 18 months later. I wore a cream dress from a discount store, and Daniel bought 2 grocery store cupcakes for the drive home. At first, he said we should wait a few weeks before telling his family. His divorce had been ugly, his daughter was sensitive, and his mother was still recovering from surgery.
Let me find the right moment. I want them to meet you when they can see you the way I do.
I believed him because the sentence sounded careful. I did not understand that careful words can hide careless intentions. A few weeks became Christmas. Christmas became spring. By our 2nd anniversary, Daniel's family knew me only as the woman who sometimes cleaned his house. He said the arrangement was temporary. Temporary became one of the most permanent things in my life. Daniel always had a reason. His mother might cut him out of her estate. Claire might upset Emily. Emily might keep the grandchildren away. According to him, one honest conversation could destroy 3 generations of family. My silence, on the other hand, was apparently harmless. I was not dependent on Daniel for my immigration papers. By the time we married, I had legal status through years of work and waiting. Still, he knew how afraid I had once been of official envelopes. Whenever I pushed too hard, he spoke about lawyers, property records, and questions I might not know how to answer.
You know how complicated these things get. Why invite trouble when our life is fine?
Our life was fine in the way a chair with one short leg is fine, as long as nobody moves too suddenly. Most days, the house belonged to both of us. My coat hung beside his. My medicine sat by the sink. We argued about the thermostat like any married couple. But before family visits, the house changed. It became a stage, and I became the person who cleaned it after the audience left. Daniel removed our wedding photograph from the hallway and placed it face down in his desk drawer. He covered my name on the mailbox with a strip of white tape. The first time he did that, he kissed my forehead and promised it would be the last. The 10th time, he told me not to make a scene. By the 12th year, he no longer kissed me before covering my name. That Thanksgiving was supposed to be different because the dinner was not supposed to happen at our house. Claire usually hosted. 3 days before the holiday, a pipe burst under her kitchen sink and soaked the cabinets and half the dining room wall.
They need somewhere to go. It is only one meal.
One meal in my house, where I have to pretend I do not live.
Our house. And nobody is asking you to pretend anything. Just keep things simple.
Daniel often used the word simple when he meant painful for me and convenient for him. The night before Thanksgiving, he stood in our bedroom holding an empty laundry basket. He pointed at my side of the dresser as if he were inspecting a rental property.
Your things should go downstairs until tomorrow night. Emily always looks for extra blankets.
Then let her find my things.
He looked at me for several seconds. The furnace clicked on beneath the floor, and warm air lifted the edge of the curtain.
My mother's estate still is not settled. You know what Claire is like when money is involved.
Your mother has been gone almost 4 years.
That does not mean the paperwork is finished.
I had never seen the paperwork. When I asked, Daniel said family trusts were private and complicated. Complicated was another useful word in our marriage. It closed doors without requiring him to lock them. I packed my sweaters, nightgowns, slippers, and the hand cream I used before bed. Daniel carried the basket downstairs without saying thank you. He stopped at the bottom step and asked whether I had remembered the bathroom cabinet. My toothbrush was still beside his.
Should I remove my hair from the drain too?
Do not start, Mara.
I did not start. I finished hiding myself and went to make the pie crust. On Thanksgiving morning, Daniel came into the kitchen in pressed khaki pants while I was rubbing butter under the turkey skin.
Wear the gray blouse today, the plain one.
I am cooking. I was planning to wear an apron.
The apron is fine, just nothing that looks too dressed up.
He meant nothing that made me look like the woman of the house. A plain blouse made the lie easier to believe. Before he left the room, he placed a small saucer on the counter. My wedding ring was supposed to go there.
No.
It was the smallest word I had spoken all morning, and it made him turn around.
Mara, please, not today.
It is my ring. It stays on my hand.
Daniel stared at the ring, then opened the junk drawer and found a beige bandage. He set it beside the saucer without meeting my eyes.
Cover it. Say you burned your finger.
I wanted to throw the saucer at the wall. Instead, I wrapped the bandage around the ring because the turkey was in the oven and his family would arrive in 40 minutes. That is how surrender often happened in my life. Not with a grand decision, but with a timer ringing and something beginning to burn. I covered my ring and basted the turkey. Daniel turned on music in the living room and opened a bottle of wine I had bought. Claire and Paul arrived first. Claire handed Daniel a bakery box and walked past me with the comfortable confidence of someone entering her brother's empty house.
Mara, right? Daniel says you have been a lifesaver.
I have been here a long time.
Well, he clearly needs the help.
Paul looked from me to Daniel, then down at the bandage on my left hand. He did not say anything, but his eyes stayed there a second longer than Claire's.
Smells like you have been working since dawn.
A little before.
She insists on doing things the hard way.
Emily arrived with Lily 15 minutes later. Emily hugged her father and handed him flowers without noticing that the vase she chose had been a wedding gift from my friend.
Dad, the place looks better every time I come. You have finally learned how to keep a house.
I manage.
Lily did notice me. Teenagers often see the person adults have already decided not to look at.
Are you the one who makes those cinnamon cookies Grandpa brings at Christmas?
Yes, those are mine.
He always says he baked them.
Daniel laughed from across the room. It was louder than the moment required.
I might have accepted a little too much credit.
A little?
When dinner was ready, Daniel carved the turkey at the head of the table. I stood behind him holding a platter while he described how long it had cooked.
Low and slow. That is the secret.
The actual secret was an old roasting pan, wet cheesecloth, and my alarm clock set for 5 in the morning.
Mother would be amazed. You never even made your own sandwiches when you lived at home.
People change.
I waited for him to add one sentence. Mara taught me. Mara made this. Mara is my wife. He sliced the breast meat carefully and said, "None of those things." I carried bowls around the table while everyone settled into their chairs. There was one folding chair against the wall, but Daniel had stacked coats on it.
Is Mara eating with us?
She already ate while she was cooking.
I had tasted one spoonful of mashed potatoes for salt. That was what my husband had turned into an entire meal.
There is plenty. She should take a plate.
She prefers the kitchen. Right, Mara?
Every face turned toward me. Daniel's smile did not reach his eyes, and his hand rested on the carving knife.
The kitchen is fine.
I went back to the kitchen and closed the swinging door halfway. Through the narrow opening, I could see the empty stretch of table where another chair could have fit. Daniel offered a prayer. He thanked God for family, for health, and for the hands that had prepared the meal. He did not say whose hands. Mine were under cold water, scraping dried dough from a wooden spoon. From the dining room came the small sounds of a family beginning a meal. Forks against china, chairs shifting, someone asking for butter.
Mara, bring the gravy.
He did not say please, not because he forgot, but because a man does not usually say please to someone he wants others to believe he has hired. I carried in the gravy, refilled water glasses, and collected the salad bowl nobody had touched. Each time I entered, the conversation paused by half a breath.
Dad, you should keep Mara around. This is the best meal we have had in years.
I plan to.
Everyone laughed except Paul. I looked at Daniel, but he was already lifting his wine glass toward Claire.
To Danny, for saving Thanksgiving.
Their glasses touched with a bright little sound. I was holding the dirty serving spoon Daniel had used to take credit for my morning. For the first time that day, I imagined putting the spoon down and walking out the front door without my coat. I did not do it. I returned to the kitchen because the pie still needed whipped cream, and because 12 years of obedience is not broken in one clean movement. Halfway through dessert, Lily slipped into the kitchen carrying her empty glass. She looked toward the dining room before opening the refrigerator.
Do you really work for my grandpa?
I help him with many things.
That is not what I asked.
She was not rude. She was watching me with the same steady expression Paul had worn when he noticed the bandage on my hand. Before I could answer, Daniel called for coffee. I reached toward the cabinet, and the bandage caught on the handle. It peeled away just enough for the gold ring underneath to flash in the kitchen light.
You said you burned your finger.
I wrapped the loose bandage back around my hand. My fingers had begun to shake, though I was no longer standing near the stove. Lily reached for a paper towel beside the refrigerator. A prescription envelope had been pinned underneath it so Daniel would remember to pick up my refill. The envelope had my full name printed across the front in heavy black letters, Mara Bennett.
Why do you have my grandpa's last name?
Lily kept her finger on the prescription envelope. Her eyes moved from the name Bennett to the bandage wrapped around my wedding ring.
Why do you have my grandpa's last name?
Before I could answer, the swinging door opened behind her. Daniel stood there with 2 coffee cups and the smile he used when he was already preparing a lie.
Bennett was her married name before she came to work here. It is a common name.
And the ring?
She is a widow. Now take the coffee in before your mother starts looking for you.
In less than 10 seconds, my husband had invented a dead man for me. He had found it easier to make me a widow than admit he was alive and married to me. Lily carried the coffee out without another question. Daniel stayed in the doorway until her footsteps reached the dining room.
You left that envelope where anyone could see it.
It is my medicine in my kitchen.
Not now. We will talk after they leave.
He took the envelope from the refrigerator and folded it into his pocket. Then he carried the coffee away, as if he had simply corrected a small housekeeping error. When I brought in the pie, Paul moved the coats from the folding chair. He set the chair beside him and looked toward Daniel.
There is room for Mara now.
She is cleaning up. We are paying her for the day, not asking her to socialize.
That was the first time he had said he paid me. I looked at him, and he pressed the pie server into my hand.
How long have you been working for Daniel?
I have taken care of this house for 12 years.
Off and on. Mara helps several people in the neighborhood.
12 years? Dad, you have never mentioned her.
There was nothing to mention. She is private, and so am I.
Lily did not touch her pie. She watched me carry the empty coffee pot back to the kitchen, and this time Daniel noticed her watching. The family began leaving just after 6. Emily hugged Daniel, Claire collected leftovers, and Paul carried the folding chair back to the wall.
You did well, Danny. Mother would be proud that you finally got back on your feet.
That was a long time ago, Claire.
I know. I am just glad everything was settled before the estate closed.
Daniel opened the front door before she could say more. Cold air entered the hallway and lifted the strip of white tape covering my name on the mailbox. Lily was the last one out. She stopped beside me while Emily searched her purse for the car keys.
Are you safe here?
The question embarrassed me more than the empty chair had. A child had seen enough in one afternoon to ask what I had avoided asking myself for years.
I am all right, Lily. You do not need to worry about me.
That is not exactly what I asked either.
Emily called her name from the driveway. Lily left without waiting for an answer, and Daniel closed the door hard enough to shake the framed print above the coat rack.
What did you say to her?
She asked if I was safe. I told her I was all right.
You must have given her a reason to ask.
You made me cover my ring. You made up a dead husband. You told them you pay me.
I did what I had to do because you left your name on that envelope.
He looked at the dining room covered in dirty plates, as if the evidence of my labor supported his argument instead of mine.
Show me the estate papers.
Tonight is not the time.
Then, tomorrow morning, I want to see what has required 12 years of hiding.
You would not understand the trust documents. Claire barely understands them.
I removed the bandage from my ring and placed it on his dinner plate. Then I sat in the empty chair and served myself the last cold slice of turkey. Daniel waited for me to begin clearing the table. When I did not move, he carried 2 plates into the kitchen and dropped a fork into the sink.
Are you planning to sit there all night?
I am eating Thanksgiving dinner in my home.
The turkey had gone dry and the gravy had formed a skin, but I ate slowly. Daniel washed every dish because he knew asking me would sound different now. For 12 years, I had mistaken avoiding a fight for keeping peace. That night, the quiet in our house did not feel peaceful at all. Before going to bed, I carried the laundry basket upstairs, my slippers returned to the closet, my sweaters to the dresser, and my toothbrush to the bathroom. I found my blue mug behind the flower and washed the dust from my name. Then I placed it beside Daniel's coffee cup in the front row of the cabinet.
Putting everything back tonight is childish.
Hiding it was childish. Putting it back is ordinary.
I slept in the spare room. Daniel did not ask me to return, and I did not wait for him to ask. The next morning, the house smelled of cold grease and dish soap. Daniel was in the shower when the landline rang.
Mara, I hope Danny paid you extra. Yesterday was too much work for one person.
Daniel does not pay me.
Then why would you do all of that?
Claire, when did your mother's estate close?
Almost 3 years ago. Why are you asking?
Daniel entered the kitchen with his shirt half buttoned. When he heard Claire's voice, he took the receiver from my hand.
Claire, Mara misunderstood something I said. I will call you later.
He hung up before she answered. The receiver remained in his hand while the dial tone filled the kitchen.
You said the estate was still unsettled.
The probate case closed. The private family arrangements did not.
Then show me those arrangements.
The house is in my name. My family finances are not your business.
I am your wife. I paid the taxes when your business failed. I paid for the furnace and half the roof.
You lived here. You benefited from those things.
I thought I was building a home with you.
You have a home because I let you move into one.
Daniel's face changed as soon as the words left him. He opened his mouth again, but I picked up my coat before he could replace them with softer ones.
That came out wrong.
It came out clearly.
I drove to the library where I had worked for 18 years. The parking lot was nearly empty, and the automatic doors opened with the same tired sigh I remembered.
You look like you have not slept. Come sit down before you tell me you are fine.
Ruth did not ask why I needed the public probate records. She showed me the county database, brought me tea, and stayed close without looking over my shoulder. Daniel's mother's estate had been fully distributed 34 months earlier. There was no pending case, no unresolved property, and no condition mentioning his marital status.
Was he telling you something different?
For 12 years.
Believing your husband is not something you should be ashamed of.
I wrote the closing date on the back of an old library receipt. My hand was calm now, which frightened me more than shaking would have. Before leaving, I used the copier to print every page connected to the estate. The warm paper felt heavier than paper should. I did not go home. I drove to the bank and asked for 7 years of statements from the joint account Daniel rarely let me review. He handled the bills because he said financial language tired me. I had accepted that explanation even after I stopped needing help with the words. The statements showed regular transfers from my retirement deposit into an account marked Bennett Appliance Services. Daniel had told me that account was closed years ago. There were also payments for property taxes, insurance, and repairs. Nearly every large household expense had come from money I had earned. Daniel had paid for groceries and called himself the provider. I had paid for the house around those groceries and called myself fortunate. One transfer stopped me. $42,000 had left the account 3 days after I moved my old savings into it. Daniel had told me the money went to a supplier who threatened to sue his business. The statement listed the recipient only as C. Carter. Claire's married name was Carter. I stared at the letters until the bank lobby blurred behind them. I remembered Daniel coming home that evening with flowers. He had said the worst part of his business trouble was finally over. I had believed the flowers were gratitude. Now I wondered whether they had been the price of keeping me from asking where my money went. My phone rang while I sat in the bank parking lot. The number was unfamiliar, but the voice belonged to Lily.
I got your number from Grandpa's kitchen phone. I need you to tell me the truth.
You should not have to carry an adult secret.
Are you married to him?
Yes, we have been married for 12 years.
Lily did not speak for several seconds. I could hear a television in the background and Emily asking who was on the phone.
Grandpa told us he has lived alone since Grandma left.
I will not ask you to hide this from your mother. Tell her you spoke to me.
Emily took the phone before Lily could answer. Her voice was sharp, but underneath it I heard fear.
Who are you, really? What did you tell my daughter?
My name is Mara Bennett. Your father married me at the courthouse 12 years ago.
That is not possible. I would know if my father had a wife.
I understood why she doubted me. Daniel had given her 12 years of evidence that I did not exist.
Ask him. Then ask him why he told you I was his housekeeper.
Are you after his house? Is that what this is about?
I have been paying for that house while he told you he lived there alone.
Emily became quiet. Then she said she was driving to her father's house and ended the call. I drove home more slowly than usual. My phone rang twice with Daniel's name, but I left it on the passenger seat. Daniel was waiting in the driveway. He opened my car door before I had removed the key.
Emily called. What have you done?
I answered a question truthfully.
You have no idea what you started. Emily thinks you manipulated me.
Then tell her the truth before she arrives.
Daniel followed me into the house, talking quickly. He said Emily was emotional, Claire was judgmental, and Lily was too young to understand.
I can still fix this if you let me explain it properly.
Properly means without me in the room.
You get upset and lose words. They will misunderstand you.
I had once thanked him for finishing my sentences. I had not noticed when helping me speak became permission to speak for me. Emily did not arrive first. Paul came alone, carrying the glass casserole dish Claire had taken home the night before.
Claire is with Emily. I thought I should hear this without everyone shouting.
There is nothing for you to hear. Mara is confused about a private arrangement.
I am not confused.
Daniel, is she your wife?
Daniel looked toward the window. A delivery truck passed outside, and he watched it until the sound faded.
Legally, yes.
Not legally. Completely.
For 12 years?
We kept it private because the timing was complicated.
Private couples do not remove one spouse's toothbrush before Thanksgiving.
Claire thought you repaid her with money from selling the appliance business.
I took the folded bank statement from my purse and placed it on the table between them. The $42,000 transfer was circled in blue ink.
That was my savings.
Claire loaned him that money after his divorce. He told us he paid every cent back on his own.
Mara gave me the money. Married people help each other.
You told me it went to a supplier. You never said it paid your sister.
The debt had to be paid. Why does the name matter?
It mattered enough for you to lie to both women.
Paul picked up the casserole dish but left the statement on the table. He said Claire deserved to hear the rest from Daniel, then walked out.
You embarrassed me in front of Paul.
You served me food in the kitchen while your family toasted you.
They already believed I was a failure after the divorce. I could not introduce a new wife while I still owed Claire money.
So you used my money to look independent, then hid the person who made you look independent.
It was supposed to be temporary. Once I fixed the business, I planned to tell them.
The business closed 8 years ago.
Then Mother got sick. Emily was going through her custody trouble. There was never a good time.
Did anyone in your family ever say they would reject me because I was an immigrant?
Daniel rubbed both hands over his face. He did not answer, and in that silence I heard 12 years of excuses falling apart.
You do not know how they judge people.
They judged me yesterday because you told them I was a servant.
He said he had protected me from embarrassment. I looked at the cold kitchen, the hidden mug, and the bandage still lying on his plate. Claire called before Daniel could say more. He answered on speaker without realizing it, and her voice filled the room.
Tell me Paul misunderstood. Tell me that woman has not been your wife for 12 years.
It began as a practical arrangement. Things became more complicated over time.
Practical arrangement. That was what he called our courthouse vows, our shared bed, and every night I had sat beside him when his hands shook from worry.
He asked me to marry him. I did not ask for papers, money, or a place to live.
Mara, did my brother tell you we would reject you?
Every year.
Our mother would have set another place at the table. She would have been angry at Daniel, not at you.
Daniel ended the call. He did not say goodbye to his sister, and he did not look at me.
Claire says whatever makes her look kind. You have no idea what she is really like.
I know what you are like now.
I went upstairs and opened the suitcase we use for weekend trips. Daniel stood in the doorway while I packed 2 nightgowns, medicine, and clean socks.
Where are you going?
Somewhere I do not have to hide my toothbrush.
Leaving makes you look guilty. Emily already thinks you are trying to take the house.
You are still worried about how I look to people who did not know I existed.
I am sorry. I handled things badly.
Which thing are you sorry for?
Daniel looked at the suitcase instead of answering. I closed it and understood that even his apology needed me to do the difficult part for him. I spent the night in a small roadside hotel with a humming heater and a plastic cup wrapped in paper. My phone lit the dark room again and again. Emily left one message, asking to see the marriage certificate. Claire left another saying she was sorry she had spoken to me like hired help. Daniel called 9 times. He never left a message, as if even now he expected me to answer before he had to choose the right words. The next morning, I returned to the bank with my identification, the probate copies, and every statement I had found.
Please move my retirement deposit into an account with only my name.
Then I asked for every transfer connected to Daniel, Claire Carter, and Bennett Appliance Services. The printer started, and page after page slid into the tray. The bank printer kept running. Page after page slid into the tray, warm at the edges and covered with small withdrawals I had never noticed. The $42,000 was only the largest transfer. There were dozens of smaller ones spaced far enough apart to look ordinary. $500 before Emily's birthday, $1,200 before Lily started braces, $2,000 the week Daniel told me the water heater needed replacing. The water heater had not been replaced that year. Daniel had painted the old one gray and told me the new models looked almost the same. I sat at the banker's desk with my coat still buttoned. The room was warm, but I could not stop pressing my hands between my knees. The banker confirmed that the transfers had been made through Daniel's online login. My name was on the account, but no notice had been sent directly to me. I moved my future retirement deposits into the new account. I did not empty the joint account because I wanted advice before touching anything else. For years, Daniel had described me as nervous about money. Sitting there with 7 years of statements, I realized nervous was the name he gave my questions. My phone showed 3 more missed calls from him. The 4th call came from Ruth, who said she was waiting outside in her old green sedan.
You are not spending another night in that hotel. My guest room has clean sheets and a door that locks.
I do not want to bring my trouble into your house.
Trouble already knows your home address. Let it lose track of you for one night.
Ruth's guest room was small enough that I could touch both walls with my arms spread wide. I slept better there than I had in months. In the morning, she made oatmeal and placed the bank statements beside the sugar bowl. She did not pretend breakfast could make them less serious.
Emily called the library asking for you. I did not give her this address.
I will meet her somewhere public.
I chose a table near the library entrance. It was a place where voices stayed low and where I had once believed Daniel because he seemed like a quiet man. Emily arrived without Lily. She kept her purse on her shoulder and did not remove her coat.
My father says you married him because you needed somewhere to live.
I rented my own apartment when we met. I had a job, savings, and legal status before he proposed.
I placed the marriage certificate on the table. Emily read the date twice, then studied Daniel's signature as if it might belong to someone else.
He came to my house that Christmas. He sat at my table and told me he was learning to enjoy living alone.
I waited for him at home with dinner. He told me, "You were not ready to know about us."
Emily looked toward the circulation desk. Ruth was shelving books nearby, close enough to see me but too far away to hear.
He said I would stop bringing Lily around if he remarried too quickly.
Did you ever tell him that?
I was angry after the divorce. I said I did not want to meet anyone for a while. I never said 12 years.
That answer did not erase her part, but it placed it in the right size. Daniel had stretched one wounded sentence across more than a decade.
Did you know about the checks he sent, Lily?
I knew he sent birthday gifts. I did not know they came from my retirement money.
Emily slowly lowered herself into the chair. For the first time, she looked less like Daniel's daughter defending him and more like a woman comparing 2 versions of her father.
He paid for Lily's braces when I was short on money. I thanked him for months.
The money helped her. I am not angry that she received it. I am angry that he stole the gratitude too.
Emily covered her mouth and looked down at the bank statement. A small tear landed beside the transfer, but she wiped it away immediately.
I treated you like a stranger in your own house.
You treated me according to the story he gave you.
That does not make what I said at Thanksgiving feel any better.
I did not forgive her at that table. I only stopped needing her to be the main person I blamed. Claire asked us to meet at her house that evening. She said Paul had placed every document in a folder and Daniel had agreed to come. The damaged kitchen wall was covered with clear plastic. A fan hummed near the sink, pushing cold air through the dining room.
Sit beside me, Mara. Not at the end. Here.
She pulled out the chair beside hers. The gesture was small, but I noticed that she moved her own purse to make room for me.
We need dates, amounts, and plain answers. Nobody is here to perform being a good family.
Daniel arrived 10 minutes late. He stopped when he saw me seated beside Claire, as if I had taken a place reserved for someone else.
I thought this was supposed to be a private family conversation.
Your wife is family, Daniel. That is the first fact we are going to stop arguing about.
Daniel sat across from me. He folded his arms and stared at the plastic covering the wall instead of the folder on the table.
Did Mara's $42,000 repay the loan Claire made after your business failed?
The money was in a joint account. We were married. I did not steal it.
You told me a supplier was threatening us. I agreed because I believed our home was at risk.
You told me the business sale covered everything. You let me praise you for paying it back alone.
I was going to replace the money when things improved.
Things improved because Mara kept paying the bills.
Were Lily's braces paid with Mara's money too?
You needed help. I was your father. Was I supposed to let my granddaughter suffer?
You were supposed to tell me whose help it was.
Mara and I shared everything. That is what marriage means.
Marriage meant sharing my money. It did not mean sharing my name, my chair, or the truth about me.
Daniel leaned back as if my words had pushed him. For once, nobody rushed to fill the silence for him.
After the divorce and the business failure, everyone looked at me like I could not manage my own life. Mara made things stable. I wanted time to prove I was not depending on another woman to rescue me.
You proved it by pretending the woman rescuing you was your employee.
At first, I only needed a few months. Then the lie became harder to correct.
Harder for whom?
Daniel looked down at his hands. Those hands had never been asked to disappear before his family entered a room.
Did Grandma know?
She knew Mara helped at the house when she was sick.
Mara was the night aide?
I had not heard anyone call me that in years. During Daniel's mother's final winter, I slept in a recliner beside her bed 4 nights a week. I changed her dressings, warmed soup she could barely swallow, and rubbed lotion into the dry skin around her ankles. Daniel told me his mother was confused and should not be burdened with explanations. Around his family, he called me Maria from the agency.
I thought all of you knew I was Daniel's wife and were pretending for her comfort.
We thought the agency sent you. Daniel gave us invoices.
The room became very still. Even the plastic over the damaged walls stopped moving when the fans switched off.
There was no agency?
I made simple receipts so everyone would contribute. The expenses were real.
We paid you for Mara's work.
The money covered medication, food, and utilities. I did not keep it for myself.
You told me your family refused to help, so I used my vacation days.
Mother asked about you after you left. She called you the woman with the warm hands.
I turned toward Daniel. He had told me his mother never remembered who I was.
She wanted to give you a card. Daniel said agency rules did not allow personal contact.
I had sat beside that woman while she was dying, and Daniel had kept even her thank you from reaching me. I left Claire's house before the conversation ended. Ruth drove because my hands felt too heavy for the steering wheel.
You do not have to decide the rest of your life tonight.
I do need to know what part of my life still belongs to me.
The next morning, Ruth took me to a community legal office above a pharmacy. The waiting room smelled like copier paper and winter coats.
Do not sign anything Daniel gives you. Keep copies of every statement, tax record, receipt, and message. The house may be titled in his name, but your contributions and marital rights still need to be examined properly.
She did not promise me the house or revenge. She gave me a yellow folder and a list of documents, which was more useful than either.
Do you know whether Daniel has a current will, life insurance policy, or retirement beneficiary form.
He told me those things were automatic because we were married.
Automatic is a dangerous word when one person controls all the paperwork.
That afternoon, I called Daniel and said I was coming for personal records. Claire and Ruth came with me.
Bringing witnesses into our marriage is unnecessary.
You brought lies into our marriage. I am bringing 2 people and a folder.
Daniel opened the door but did not welcome anyone inside. The house smelled stale and the Thanksgiving flowers had begun dropping petals onto the table. I collected my passport, immigration records, pension papers, and the folder containing our marriage certificate. Inside Daniel's desk, beneath old appliance warranties, I found an envelope from an estate attorney dated 18 months earlier. The letter thanked Daniel for discussing changes to his will. A draft was folded behind it with his notes written in the margins.
Daniel, did Mara know about this?
It was only a draft. Nothing was finalized.
The draft left the house to Emily. It gave me 6 months to move and described me as Daniel's longtime household companion.
Not wife, not even caregiver. Household companion.
The attorney used standard language. I was going to have it corrected.
You wrote the words, "Keep the house in the family," beside Emily's name.
That house was purchased before Mara and I married. It was meant to go to my daughter.
My money repaired the roof, replaced the furnace, paid the taxes, and kept the lights on.
You lived here too. I was not charging you rent.
She was paying for the house and working in it. Calling that free rent is a remarkable kind of arithmetic.
The front door opened behind us. Emily stood in the hallway with Lily, both still wearing their coats.
I am not taking this house from Mara.
This does not concern Lily, and you do not understand what I was trying to protect.
You were protecting the version of yourself we admired.
And you made her stand in the kitchen so we would keep admiring you.
Daniel looked older than he had on Thanksgiving. His shoulders dropped, but he still held the desk drawer closed with one hand.
What else is in that drawer?
Insurance papers, account information, things that do not need to become another family spectacle.
Put everything on the dining table. Mara sits with us, and you explain every page.
Lily removed the coats from the folding chair and placed it beside the table, exactly where Paul had tried to place it on Thanksgiving. I sat down. Daniel remained beside the desk until Claire told him nobody was leaving. At last, he reached behind a row of folders and removed a small metal box. He carried it to the table and placed the key beside my hand. The key lay beside my hand. Daniel remained standing while the rest of us sat around the dining table he had once ordered me to serve. I opened the metal box. Inside were insurance forms, canceled checks, folded receipts, and a small white envelope with my first name written across it.
That is Mother's handwriting.
The envelope had already been opened. Daniel had cut the top neatly with the silver letter opener I gave him for his birthday.
How long have you had this?
She gave it to me near the end. I forgot it was in there.
You opened it, Daniel.
The card thanked me for staying when the nights were difficult. His mother wrote that my hands made her feel safe when breathing became frightening. She had signed it, "With love, Eleanor." Beneath her name was a shaky sentence asking Daniel to bring me to Sunday dinner when she became stronger.
You told me she did not remember who I was.
She was confused most days. One card did not change everything happening around us.
It would have changed what Mara believed about herself.
A small cloth pouch was tucked beneath the card. Inside was Eleanor's blue enamel brooch, the one she wore in the photograph beside her bed.
She meant that for you. She told me she wanted the woman with the warm hands to have something blue.
Under the pouch were copies of the false agency receipts. Daniel had listed hours, mileage, and overnight fees for work I had done without pay.
The family paid almost $19,000 into your account.
Most of it covered Mother's expenses. I have already explained that.
Then the bank records will show where every dollar went.
Daniel finally sat down. His chair made a low scraping sound against the floor, and nobody moved to make the moment easier for him.
Why did you keep Grandma's card from Mara?
Because Mother would have started asking questions. She would have told Claire, and then everyone would know I had remarried.
Why was that worse than making Mara think your mother forgot her?
Daniel looked at Lily, then at the card in my hand. The answer seemed smaller each time someone asked him to say it aloud.
I was ashamed. I had lost the business. I owed Claire money. My first marriage had failed, and I was living in a house I could barely maintain. Then Mara came in and fixed everything. She paid bills, repaired things, cooked, and made the house feel steady again. I thought if the family met her, they would see a man being rescued by another woman. I wanted them to believe I had rescued myself.
So, you loved what I gave you, but you were ashamed of the person giving it.
I loved you. I still love you.
You loved me in rooms where nobody could see you doing it.
He began to cry without making a sound. Years earlier, I would have crossed the room and placed a hand on his shoulder. That evening, I stayed in my chair. His grief was real, but it did not require me to abandon my own.
I kept thinking I would tell them after the next problem passed. Then they praised me, and correcting the lie became harder.
It also became pleasant.
Yes.
I placed Eleanor's card and brooch in my yellow folder. Then I took the insurance forms, the receipts and copies of every account record. 2 days later, Nina spread the documents across a conference table above the pharmacy. She read without rushing and marked several pages with yellow tabs.
You have decisions to make, but you do not have to make them while Daniel is standing over you.
I do not want to punish him until there is nothing left. I want my money accounted for, and I want a home that is not conditional.
Those are practical goals. Let us keep them separate from whatever apology he may or may not learn to give.
The accounting took weeks. Daniel's attorney produced tax returns, account statements, insurance records, and receipts from the years I had paid most household expenses. Some of the caregiving money had paid for Eleanor's medicine. Some paid Daniel's credit cards, property taxes, and a fishing trip he told me was a business conference. The life insurance policy still named Emily. Daniel had never added me, though he had assured me a wife was included automatically. I did not ask Emily to surrender anything that was already hers. I asked Daniel to stop using family affection as an excuse for financial secrecy. For the first time in our marriage, every number had to sit in the open where both of us could see it. Claire met me at a coffee shop with an envelope containing the family's caregiving payments. Paul had calculated the amount Daniel could not document.
This does not pay for what you did. It only returns money that should never have passed through Daniel.
I will accept the money. I am not ready to make the rest of this comfortable.
You should not make it comfortable. I called you help because that was easier than asking why my brother never treated you like a guest.
Emily came to Ruth's house the following Sunday. She brought Lily and a bakery pie neither of them pretended to have made.
I spent years believing Dad was alone because he was too hurt to trust anyone. Now I know he was married and made you live alone beside him.
He lied to both of us in different ways.
I am sorry I did not move the coats sooner.
By February, the attorneys agreed that the house would be sold. Daniel could not repay my contributions and keep the property at the same time.
We could refinance and stay. You do not have to destroy the only home we have known together.
I knew the kitchen, the roof, and every bill. I did not know the life you were living inside it.
Selling it makes everything final.
Thanksgiving made it final. The sale only puts a number on what remains.
I returned to the house to pack while Daniel stayed with Claire. Without furniture, the room sounded larger and less certain. The strip of tape was still on the mailbox. I peeled it away and found the faint outline of my last name underneath. In the dining room, the folding chair stood against the wall. I unfolded it once, then closed it and placed it beside the donation boxes. I kept my blue mug, Eleanor's card, the brooch, and one courthouse photograph. I left the apron hanging behind the pantry door. Daniel came in before I finished. He looked at the boxes and asked whether we could speak without lawyers, family, or witnesses.
You may speak. I am not promising the answer you want.
I am sorry I took your money without telling you where it went. I am sorry I made your work look like mine. I am sorry I hid your ring, your name, your photographs, and every ordinary sign that you belonged here. I am most sorry that I let you believe the shame belonged to you.
It was the apology I had wanted for years. Hearing it did not return those years to me.
I believe you are sorry. I also believe you would have continued if Lily had not seen the ring.
I do not know.
That is why I cannot come back.
The house sold in early spring. After expenses and the agreed repayment of documented funds, the remaining equity was divided through the settlement. Daniel moved into a one-bedroom rental near Clare. I heard that he began attending counseling and had stopped asking Emily to defend him. I did not celebrate his loneliness. I simply stopped treating it as a problem I was required to solve. Our divorce paperwork moved slowly, but my life did not remain still while signatures caught up. I rented a small apartment in a building where the hallway always smelled faintly of laundry soap and somebody else's soup. My name appeared on the lease, the mailbox, and the emergency contact form. Nobody covered it with tape before visitors arrived. The kitchen was narrow, and the oven heated unevenly. I bought one round table and 4 chairs that did not fold against the wall. My blue mug sat in the front of the cabinet. Eleanor's brooch rested in a small dish beside my bed. I began working 2 mornings a week at the library again. Ruth claimed she needed help, though we both knew she had invented the position for me.
You are the only person here who knows where we hid the good stapler.
Some afternoons, Lily stopped by after school. She never asked me to explain why adults stay too long in painful places.
Grandpa says he is trying to become somebody who can tell the truth before he is caught.
That would be good for him.
Daniel sent one letter in October. He did not ask me to return and did not explain himself again. He wrote that the hardest part of living alone was discovering how much work had once happened around him without his notice. I folded the letter and placed it with the legal papers. I did not destroy it, and I did not place it beside Eleanor's card. The next Thanksgiving, I invited Ruth and 2 neighbors from my building. Helen brought green beans, and Frank arrived with rolls from the grocery store.
I was told not to bring dessert, so naturally I brought 2.
Those rolls are homemade if nobody examines the bag.
My turkey was smaller that year. It cooked too quickly, and one side browned more than the other because the oven leaned toward the wall. Nobody cared. Ruth mashed potatoes while Helen opened wine, and Frank washed a bowl without being asked. When the food was ready, I carried the turkey to the table. 4 plates waited beneath 4 ordinary chairs.
Sit down before you start serving everyone else.
My first instinct was to say I would eat later. The words reached the back of my throat and stopped there.
All right, pass me a plate.
I placed turkey, potatoes, and green beans on my plate before filling anyone else's. The food was still hot when I took the first bite. Outside my apartment, my full name was printed beneath the mailbox number. Inside, my blue mug waited beside the coffee pot where anyone could see it. There were no coats piled on an extra chair, no bandage around my ring finger, and no reason to listen for a warning tap against the table. For the first time in many years, Thanksgiving dinner did not grow cold while I waited for permission to belong.